afternoon. I have to say that I'm a poor imitation for the woman that should be standing in front of you. As some of you may or may not know, this is in fact my mother's lunch. She's the one to do the introduction, the award, and generally a conversation. So I'm a very pale comparison, but I'm very happy to be here. Unfortunately, she is in the process of working through issues that cannot be done by anybody else at this point. So she cannot be here. But what she has done is send her regards via video. As some of you have seen, she was actually doing video last night from Sudan. I have no idea where this video is coming from. But she did want to open the lunch herself, and so I will tee up the video for you to watch, and then we'll continue with the program.
Hi, everyone. I'm at the WFP regional headquarters in Nairobi, and I'm so sorry I can't be with you, but I'll be there next year. Evelyn, the entire staff, and of course, all of the McCainiacs, thank you for your work putting the Sedona Forum on this year. What does it mean for the world to be facing unparalleled food security crisis? Put simply, now more than ever in history, there are more people who don't know when or if they will eat again. 828 million people. That's about 1 in 10 people on Earth. What makes this a difficult problem to solve is there isn't one cause. Conflict, climate change, COVID-19's aftershocks, and rising inflation all play a part. Global food prices are still 40% higher than before the pandemic. This has slashed governments' purchasing power to support their most vulnerable citizens. At WFP, we see the impact of this crisis everywhere we work. Right now, there are 345 million people at risk of starvation in 79 countries where WFP has operations. And 43 million people in 51 countries are right on the brink of famine. The number of hungry people is soaring, but the resources we need to feed them are running dangerously low. This is unconscionable in a world that produces enough food to feed everyone on our planet. So what do we do about it? We need funding, we need innovation, and we need collaboration. First, without substantial new funding, WFP will have to make the heartbreaking decision to cut or even stop rations for millions of hungry people in the coming months. We have already started pulling back. Last year, we fed an unprecedented 160 million people. We will not be able to do this again with the resources we currently have, and the impact will be devastating. Some of WFP's donors and partners have responded with unprecedented financial support. Oh, and we thank them. But others need to step up and do more before time is up. The funding must also be integrated and a flexible approach to humanitarian and development assistance to break down the barriers and support collaboration. It is the best way to ensure every donor dollar supports the people who need food the most. Second, we need more investment in long-term resilience activities for sustainable livelihoods and economic development. This includes teaching people how to grow food in their changing environment or find water where it's scarce. This is the key for adapting to climate change and the only way to feed our growing world. Finally, and most importantly, we all need to work more closely together, from the UN to governments to the private sector. Scaling innovation and partnerships across industries, and with more companies whose expertise will improve the efficiency of operations, can help meet the rising needs in a way that isn't just food assistance, keeping people alive. And postponing famine for a few months is just not enough on its own. We cannot wait for a declaration of famine to care about those who are already starving to death. None of us can do this alone. The global food crisis is simply too severe. But if we unite as one to end hunger and save lives, we can and we will succeed. Thank you, and I'll see you next year.
Honestly, if you had told me when I was a younger Navy pilot that my mom would be commanding an Air Force about half the size of that, of the Navy, I would have, well, called you something. The reason for this lunch, besides the discussion on food insecurity, is also to provide an award to an individual that we believe worthy of the title in the arena, which is something that the McCain Institute offers to highlight as one of our highest ideals. And to give that award, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce a man who I have just come to know, but know for a long time by reputation. Representative Ciscomani is also the first Arizona delegate to be invited to the Sedona Forum, so take that what you will. We had an incredible conversation just before this about his thoughts on civility in politics. And any of you know that what the McCain Institute does is try to promote civility in politics, conversation and dialogue so that we can all cooperate to achieve the goals of freedom, democracy, and human rights. And there is no better person here to give the Man in the Arena award. So, without further ado, I would like to have Representative Ciscomani step to the stage. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jack, and thank you all for having me. Thank you for the distinct honor to be here. As I learned recently, the only member of the delegation invited to this amazing program and an amazing event as well. It's a special honor for me to be here, especially being here in Sedona. My home in Tucson, it's just a short 200 miles south of here. I was able to drive in at about 1 a.m. last night after my son's Shakespeare play. So I made the drive up, but this is a beautiful part of the country. Always happy to be here and always happy to be home and always happy to come back from Washington. You know, coming back helps me stay informed, it helps me stay connected, and it helps me stay married as well. So those are all good things that we want to continue to do. Now, I know that Cindy couldn't be here with us today, amazing video that we just watched, but I do like to thank her and the entire McCain family as well for this opportunity and for your continued service to our country and for being an inspiration in every sense of the word. This forum has earned a well-deserved reputation as an annual event that brings together the best and brightest to discuss real solutions to some of the problems facing our nation and our world. The legacy of Senator McCain can be seen in so many places and felt in so many ways here in Arizona, in Washington as well, throughout our country and indeed around the world. I remember being in meetings where he was engaged in as well. Of course, most of those meetings I was on the staff side and I was sitting at the back of the table, or when I was an intern, I was standing in the back of the room. But every time he made it a point to come say hello. And maybe he didn't remember me from meeting to meeting or event to event, but I sure felt included. And that was just his demeanor. And when I saw that, that was really inspiring, and saying someone like that can really just serve our country and doing it in such a humble way. One of the most humbling things that I would see him do is fly on that coach seat in D.C., and you would say, that is Senator McCain sitting in coach on a plane. You can't get more America than that, I think. So Senator McCain's story is one of those enduring only in America stories, a story that is like the country that we so proudly serve, and it's so exceptional. I believe in American exceptionalism. And before I present the award to our very distinguished awardee on this, I want to just share with you a little bit of the background on that and why I believe in this only in America message and in my own American dream story. I was born in Mexico. I came here with my family when I was 11 years old. So I became the first Mexican immigrant in Arizona's history to earn and win a congressional seat here in the state. So I went through the entire experience, and believe it or not, my family and I finally became citizens in 2006. So it took that long for us to go through that process. But I got to tell you, nothing embodies my story more, I think, and explains it, that conversation I had with my dad right before I launched the campaign. He pulled me aside and he said, Juan, I want you to think of something. Where else could we have our story? We come to the country, we immerse in the culture, we learn English, we go through the long process of becoming U.S. citizens. My dad said, I drive a bus my whole life, and now my son has a shot at becoming a member of the United States Congress. Where else in the world could we have our story? The answer is nowhere else. Nowhere else in the world. If you walk into my parents' home today, you're going to wonder if you walked into a really welcoming Hispanic home with great food or a 4th of July parade. Because they got flags everywhere. God bless America. You're going to be a little confused by that. But you know, my wife shares a story as well. She was born in California, first woman in her family to attend college ever, immigrated, her parents immigrated from a small rural area in Mexico, becoming the first woman in her family to attend college, and she goes on the full academic right to Stanford University. The American dream. And yes, I married up. And when I meet people, including Jack today, first thing he says, hey, your wife is great. I'm like, yes, I know, I'm Laura's husband, even in Congress. But you know, now we have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. I am so blessed. And I'll take this opportunity to say I'll be sneaking out right after this. I have a commitment with my sons. I coach a flag football team that we're undefeated, and we're playing later today, so we can't miss that. But I'll tell you what, my freshman experience has been amazing in Congress, and I'll lead into my closing here. I was able to be appointed to the Appropriations Committee as the only freshman in Congress to be on there. We're also the only Arizonan to be on the Appropriations Committee. It's a big responsibility, but one that carried also another member of Congress from my district in the past, and you may remember Jim Colby, also in the vein of Senator McCain, of working with people across the aisle and getting things done. I was also able to offer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to offer the rebuttal in Spanish to the State of the Union. And we did that in Spanish as the only response from the House. The Spanish that my parents helped me keep really paid off in that one. I got to tell you, my parents had a rule growing up that you spoke Spanish at home. That's the only language we would speak. That way we could keep it, and one day we could use it. I'm not sure if they ever imagined that I will be using it by giving a response to the State of the Union in Spanish on national television. But kudos to my mom for forcing us to doing that, I think. And you know, it really comes down to how you grow up. And I grew up with my parents' work ethic and my mom's instillment of faith in everything that we do. I just can't imagine being here without faith and without God and without having that inspiration in my life as well in everything that I do. Now, I know that you've had many elected officials here talking about finding different solutions. I am proud that every single of the bills that I've introduced have bipartisan support. I think that's the only way to actually make good and good change in this country. Senator Sinema and I have partnered even this week on drafting some letters to the editor, adding attention to the border. We've been fighting for, on the human trafficking side of things together as well, with Senator Kelly also. That's exactly what I think our state is all about. That's why I believe in Arizona. I believe in America, obviously, but I believe that Arizona is a shining example of what we can do. We're the state of John McCain. We're the state of John Kyle. We're the state of those that came before us and then the shoulders that we're standing on, that we have to look at those lessons that we learned and know how real change was made. And that's exactly how it was, not with this ultra-partisan bickering back and forth. One of the many things that I've learned in Washington since I got there is that there are about 3 to 5 people that are very loud. And that's who some of the networks have decided to focus their attention on. But there are a lot more people that are trying to do just the good work, focus on the things that we need to focus on. And that's the group that I'm proud that I belong to, of just going up there and doing the work. In the last 4 months that I'm a freshman, I never thought I would be a freshman again, but here I am. Not a lot of hazing goes on in Congress on that, just a little bit, especially in the Appropriations Committee with a lot of senior members. But it's been fun. I've learned quite a bit here. And as I lead into introducing Kelvin here, I want to tell you this. You know, when I was in high school, I used to go wash cars with my dad up in the foothills area in Tucson. If you know Tucson, that's a nice area of town. And I would look at those houses where I was washing those cars thinking, I don't belong here. This is another world, another reality for me. But I think that my dad would read my thoughts and say, remember, we're working with these so that tomorrow you also work with this. So stop daydreaming, get back to work. And I would. Well, it was when we were cutting the ribbon in our office that my dad got there. He's the first one to get there. It says in Spanish, estoy muy orgulloso de ti. I'm so proud of you. I said, thanks, Dad. He said, do you know where we are? I said, well, we're in my office. He says, where are we, though? I said, well, boardroom, Dad. I said, I don't know. He goes to the window, pulls back the blind, and tells me, we're 2 blocks away from where we used to wash cars. I today represent in Congress the same neighborhood where I washed cars as a kid to make ends meet. Only in America can you do this. And that's why I believe in the American dream as strongly as I do. And there's an amazing example here in front of us of someone that has an only in America story. And that is our friend, Kelvin Beachum. So let me ask you this. What does a 6'3", 308-pound offensive tackle with the Arizona Cardinals, a guy born in the tiny town of Mejia, which I spent a long time practicing to pronounce, Mejia, who played football at Southern Methodist University, have in common with an Oxford University-educated woman who collects cookbooks and served as the second female prime minister of the United Kingdom? Seems like not much. Well, that woman, Theresa May, in 2018 became the inaugural recipient of the McCain Institute and the Arena Award. Today, the award goes to Kelvin Beachum. Kelvin is the 3rd recipient of the honor inspired by Teddy Roosevelt's famous speech about people who have the courage to get in the arena and fight for a cause, rather than just complain and criticize from the sidelines. Isn't that a concept? That's Kelvin's right here. And that was Theresa May. And that was the courageous men and women who got the 2nd in the Arena Award in 2019, the London first responders who worked heroically to save lives after terrorists struck London in a horrific series of attacks in 2017. This year, the Arena Award comes back to the U.S., but like the first 2 awards, it's going to someone who embodies that sense of service, that can-do spirit that we'll all think when we think of John McCain. Kelvin is a 12-year veteran in the NFL who off the gridiron is making a real impact as well. His mission, put simply, is to make this world a much better place. Kelvin's fighting for food insecurity. He has partnered with World Vision to increase the access to clean water, and he's working tirelessly to promote education. In 2016, Kelvin launched Kelvin Connects, a STEM initiative and program designed to increase minority access to careers with science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics disciplines. He did this because Kelvin believes that if we focus on teaching and engaging students in K-12, provide opportunity for students to pursue these disciplines in college, it can result in tremendous benefits to them, their families, and our society as a whole. Earlier this year, when the NFL free agency started, Kelvin was halfway around the world in the African nation of Zambia, checking out 2 water wells to help fund. Think about that. On that important day in his professional career, Kelvin was in Africa with his wife, Jessica, who's here with us today, and their beautiful family, getting his hands dirty by serving a cause larger than himself. He was in the arena. He was acting, not just talking. He was getting things done. He was finding solutions. When the Sports Business Journal profiled Kelvin a few years ago, the headline of the story was, "Anatomy of an NFL Good Deed Doer." A picture of Kelvin in the story says it all. It shows him without shoes, and on one sock it said, "Clean water access." On the other one it said, "No one hungry." I thought I had a good sock game, but that is really cool. A moment ago, we also referenced the Navy ship USS John S. McCain. The motto of this fighting ship is "Fortune favors the brave." Those words could easily apply to Kelvin. He is a brave man who is determined to make a difference. And for that, all of us are indeed very fortunate. Congratulations, Kelvin. In the spirit of the late Senator John McCain, you are a man in the arena, fighting for a cause that you believe in, a cause greater than yourself. You are a role model for us all. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage the 2023 recipient of the McCain Institute's In the Arena Award, Kelvin Beachum.
Thank you all so much. I didn't mean to stop you all from eating this amazing lunch. I know as offensive lineman, I love to eat as well. But I want to thank the McCain family. Thank you all for allowing my family, first and foremost, to come here. I see no other kids, so thanks for allowing my kids to sit in on lunch today. But I really appreciate you all. Being the recipient of the In the Arena Award, I really want to just talk about three things. We can all call and response. I'm from the country. I'm from Mahara, Texas. That's how we say it in the country. But listening is a skill. Can we all say that? Listening is a skill. Come on, we know. I know y'all better than that now. Listening is a skill. In the arena, I want you to be able to listen. In politics right now, in government, in business, we've lost the form of listening. So can we just all listen? The second thing of being in the arena is the willingness to serve. Can we all serve? Can we all say that? Serve. Serve. So listening is a skill, serve, and then utilize your resources. As a football player, the most important thing that I can do for my quarterback, even though people have opinions about my quarterback, is I still have to listen to him, right? So listening is a skill. Secondly, I still have to serve him. As an offensive lineman, we're tasked with serving. And then lastly, utilize your resources. You don't have to be a football player. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be in government. You don't have to be in business to be willing to serve. That's all I got for you. Y'all finished eating. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.